Hello and welcome. Thanks very much for joining us on this special broadcast. I'm Padmaja Joshi and Yoga Day has been celebrated across the world. One person who is at the forefront is Sadhguru, and he's joining us on this broadcast from Siachen to now the Andamans. Which next corner of the world are you going to take yoga to?
Well, Siachen to Andaman is because it's the same forces. And as you know, this is the only place where the Triforce command is there. I feel these men and women who are away from their families literally 8 to 10 months in a year in service of the nation, it's not just being away from the families, a certain level of hardship, risk, constantly, a job where you may not come home. It's not a simple thing. It's not a simple thing for themselves, not a simple thing for their families, to know that their men and women are out there and they may not come back. For them, I feel the many dimensions of yoga are most vital. This is why I'm trying to bring focus on the forces, because if we do not offer the best tools we have to them, then how are we a nation? So that's why Siachen to Andaman.
It is a very stressful time to be in uniform. The number of men we lose in the valley, the number of terror incidents, everything has gone up. Are we prepared? We're preparing them mentally, are we preparing them otherwise?
No, they have gone through a tremendous amount of training and they're definitely prepared for it, but a soldier may be prepared for it. Is a wife or a child or a mother or a father or a husband, are they prepared for it? They never will be prepared for it. There's no such thing as preparing for your dear one's death, there is no such thing, that too when they're young. So, as a soldier, they know the risks and they are there and they're prepared. Openly, I've met many officers and soldiers, they say, when I talk to them about the risk, are you taking care of this, that, they say, nothing like that, for the sake of the country, it doesn't matter if I die. This is how they speak on a daily basis. So, as individuals, they may be prepared, but as families, nobody can be prepared. And above all, as a nation, are we prepared every day to sacrifice our young men? No. Every time, almost every day, at least once or twice a week, it's happening of incidents where lives are being lost. I'm telling everybody around me, you must see them as your family. What you would feel if the dearest person dies, because somebody is willing to sacrifice their life for your safety and my safety, that is more than family. So, recently there was this on the social media it went viral, a young man passed away and his sister is getting married. His friends and his colleagues, they were making a walk on their farms. So I just wrote a note and made some small contribution for her, because if this is not our family, most family members will not be willing to die for you. Somebody who's willing to die for you, if that's not your family, who else is?
But have we become immune as a country to these sacrifices? Like you said, almost every week, almost daily, the fatalities that we have of men in uniform have gone up significantly. Have we as a country just taken this for granted? That men are dying, men have to die. Why do we have to keep losing soldiers?
See, apathy is there in certain people, that doesn't mean the whole nation is like that. It is just that when we make a nation, the most fundamental aspect of a nation is its sovereignty, that is the borders. Whatever else we may have our ideologies, we may have our philosophies, concepts, languages, race, religion, ethnicity, all kinds of things. But the fundamental thing is geography. So the fundamental mistake we've made at the time of making this nation is, we did not define the geographical boundaries very clearly. We left it to ambiguity. For that ambiguity, blood is flowing right now, unfortunate. But it has to be fixed, at least now. I feel in the next 3 to 5 years' time, Which is India, which is not India must be clear to every Indian, so that we don't continue to do this forever.
How? What was that test of Indianness or patriotism that
No,
we
no,
will
I'm not
apply
talking
to our
about patriotism,
citizens?
I'm talking about geography. I'm saying, if this is the border, I must know that the chair that you're sitting on is not mine. Right now I think it's mine and you think this is yours. Now unnecessarily it goes on, we must make it very clear, whatever it takes. If geography is not clearly demarcated, endlessly this will go on. It will not allow us to focus on our economic development, well-being of the people, education, thousand things we need to do in this country. It will not let us do that, both in terms of economic investment and this bloodletting that is happening all the time. So one thing we must do is we must be very clear, where is India's borders? 100%.
Are you saying that the Kashmir problem will be solved in the next 3 years? Is that
It must
even
be
possible?
solved if you are interested in the nation, it's not Kashmir problem. I don't think you should refer to it as Kashmir problem, it's India's problem. We must settle it.
How is that possible? We've done this for 7 decades, we've tried it and failed.
The thing is…
We tried for the last 5 years and failed.
see, what has not happened till now, if you believe it cannot happen in future, well, that is very defeatist. That's not how I look at life. What has not been done till now can be done now. And I think the ground is being prepared for that. And that is why you see this little bit of escalation. Unfortunately, lives are being lost, but we must ensure these sacrifices don't go waste.
Sadhguru, this new government, since we started talking about how in the next 3 years ground is being prepared for new initiatives of, doing things which were unthinkable till now. Article 370 is something that you've spoken very strongly about. For 5 years, there was no movement on it. Do you hope that finally on that there will be a solution? There will be delimitation, Article 370, 35A, all of this.
See, very clearly, when this article was written, for whatever reasons, I don't want to do a post-mortem of history. What's been done has been done, all right? But very clearly, they said it's temporary and transient. I want to understand, what is India's idea of temporary and transient? What is your idea of temporary and transient? I think 70 years, which means 2 generations of people have gone by, if you still think temporary and transient things can continue in this country forever, then that means you're not looking for a solution. I think it's time to look for a solution. I do not think in terms of 370, 35A, not in this context. What I'm telling you is just this, as I said earlier, every Indian must know which is India, which is not India, so that we don't continue this endless bickering going on. And it's not just bickering, it is bloodletting going on. Whether it happens as a major war or a daily happening, if you account for this, the whole year, 365 days, how many people die, it's a reasonable war, all right? So, we must clearly decide which is India, which is not India. If you don't have the courage and the commitment to take those steps, then we will continue to bleed like this, and this level of bleeding may not remain at this level. As somebody else gets more empowered, you will see the bloodletting may happen at a much larger scale.
Can this government do it?
Well, a government with such a mandate, if it cannot do it, nobody else can do it. They should do it.
Also, there are people in the valley who say that if 370 goes, if such a solution is even attempted, they will put down the flag of India. In face of such statements, and these are mainstream parties, how can we do anything?
See, in India, anybody can make any statement, because there is no consequence for making irresponsible statements in this country. People can make absolutely irresponsible statements and still hold responsible positions. Unfortunately, we've allowed that to happen. So, they can say something today, they will say something tomorrow according to their political advantages. I don't think that's an issue. People are talking about… First of all, stop talking about this as Kashmiri problem. This is India's problem. What does the people of India think? Somebody said, why not plebiscite? I said, why not? Let's vote in the whole country. which way we want to go, then you will know which way it is. Why are you treating it as a Kashmiri problem? The moment you say it's a Kashmiri problem, you are saying it is not India. No, in my mind and heart, and so in most of the people, over 100 crore people, see it as India, all right? And it was India in 1948 or whatever. So, rethinking partition once again means we have amnesia. One partition happened, nearly 600,000 people died. 3–4 million people went this way, that way. In both the nations, they are not settled. It's not about just us, even that side. Those who went from here to there, they are still suffering. Those who came from there to here after 70 years, many are still like refugees. Do you want such situations once again in India? We don't want such situations. If you have not learned from that lesson, it's just foolish. We don't want any more partitions. How to take these people ahead should be the goal right now. This is not about different identities continuing with the same thing. That identity was fixed in 1947 or 48. After that, it's over. You can't rethink it every few years.
You don't think there is the fear that a part of our country will secede? That is what is said every time that there is a rethink on the instrument
See, who is to decide that?
the Kashmiri people?
No,
the
the
Kashmiri
Indian
parties?
people will decide that. People of India and the government of India must decide that.
Tell me this, Sadhguru, it's been 5 years now that Yoga Day was announced or introduced
You came
in
to
the
yoga.
country. Of course, we started out from there, but then because you're talking about the forces, so it's a touchy topic. But as far as yoga is concerned, has there been a change in mindset? Because the first time that a yoga day was introduced, it was seen as imposition of a certain kind of thought or a certain kind of culture. Some even said that this is a Hindu practice that is being imposed on everyone.
Yoga being Hindu, why are you looking at the ocean and I'm looking away, huh? Yoga being Hindu is like gravity being Jewish. It's a certain science and technology of inner well-being. Either you can… people have approached their inner well-being with belief systems, by looking up at the heaven, or with philosophies, with ideologies, with morals, with ethics. But yoga is among the oldest of solutions, and it is not a solution of the past, it is a solution for the future, because we are approaching human well-being as through a technological process. We are treating human mechanism as the highest piece of technology, and how to make this work at its peak. This is what yoga is about. When I utter the word yoga, because for most people, yoga is a rebound from American coast. They think yoga means twisting and turning, wearing Lululemon pants and whatever. No, yoga means… the word yoga means union. This means you consciously obliterated the boundaries of your individual nature. See, when you sit here, you're sitting here because you're breathing, you have consumed water, you have eaten food, and many other transactions are happening here for this body to exist. So you cannot exist here for one moment all by yourself. You're existing here as a part of everything else. But the magnanimity of the creation is such, though we just a piece of the planet sitting here right now, it has given us an individual experience. This is the most fantastic thing. Actually, the water does not have individual experience, the air doesn't have individual experience, the soil doesn't have individual experience, but we have been given the privilege of individual experience, though we are just the same things. Most people don't get this till you bury them. We are just the same stuff, but we are given an individual experience. You can enjoy the individual nature of who you are, but don't believe that you are an individual, it is not true. If you just stop breathing for 2 minutes, you understand your individuality means nothing. It is existing as one whole thing. So yoga means you consciously obliterated the boundaries of your individuality so that you enjoy the individual experience, but at the same time you know the ecstasy of oneness of the existence, the union. When we say union, There are many ways. If it just happens on a very basic physical level, it's called sexuality. If it happens on the level of emotion, it's called as love. If it happens in a in a mental way, it's called conquest, achievement, or simply shopping, whatever. When it happens consciously, we call it yoga. So yoga is this dimension where your experience is… you're capable of experiencing life by wiping out the boundaries of your individuality. This is the significance of being human. Every other creature is constantly trying to set up boundaries. A dog is going around all the time peeing, not because he has a urinary problem. He is constantly fixing his boundaries. So is every other creature. It is only a human being who constantly tries to expand, because this is the dimension of evolution we've reached, that now we've reached a point where when we fear something, we want boundaries, but the moment the fear is gone, we want to expand. So yoga is addressing that dimension of longing to expand in a limitless way.
Maybe so, but when yoga is introduced along with some other things, people read a pattern into it. For example, now we have, the idea of a Vedic board being spoken about. There is also, this entire controversy about whether Vande Mataram should be said in schools early morning, whether everyone should do asanas in schools, how school syllabus is being saffronized in a certain way. People see this as an imposition of Hindu nationalism.
So that's fine. In most schools till now, it's still happening. They're breeding the British band and they're all walking like British soldiers. Why are you still walking? The English are gone. You have no problem about the English imposition upon you, the British imposition upon you, you must walk like a British soldier. You have no problem. Why you have a problem with this? Where is the question of imposition? You have a syllabus which talks about various sciences. Similarly, if you have a science about your inner well-being, which is most important today, because human beings are more distressed than ever before. Though they are more comfortable than ever before, though our survival is organized better than ever before, though men and women can live far more freely than ever before, at least in the physical atmospheres, still they're far more distressed. You may give many reasons to it, but I'm telling you, the only reason why somebody is in tension, stress, anxiety, madness, misery, whatever you call it, is your own intelligence is turned against you, that's all. So if your intelligence is turned against you, it's like your finger is poking your eye. If your finger is poking your eye, should I not ask you to twist your hands little and hold it behind you for some time? Otherwise your eyeballs will go.
So you don't think this has got anything to do with Hindi nationalism or Hindu nationalism?
Definitely not. Some people are always looking for some cause in their life, they don't have any cause or purpose in their lives, so they are always making up these things every 2 days. Where are they? Once in a way they come up and say whatever irresponsible things and disappear.
Actually not, because one example happened very lately when in the Lok Sabha, when the swearing-in was taking place. I doubt whether we would have seen something like this happen before, where practically every other member was sloganeering. It started with people saying Jai Shri Ram, then some members of parliament from West Bengal started saying Jai Ma Kali, then somebody said Bhairo Baba ki Jai, and it went on and on and on. Some even thought that this was a way of bullying. For example, Asaduddin Owaisi walked up and everyone started sloganeering saying Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. Some people see this as a sort of religious or cultural bullying.
I don't think that's necessary in the parliament. If somebody wants to invoke whatever they want, they can do it. But you saying Jai Shri Ram or Om Namah Shivaya or Har Har Mahadev should be your invocation for yourself, not against you. Especially when I know it irritates you, I'm doing it to you. I don't think that is the way these things were created. These were created to bring yourself up, not to put somebody else down. Well, individual attitudes, it's got nothing to do with yoga as such.
And it becomes dangerous also when…
No, to practice yoga, you don't have to call Rama, Shiva, Krishna or Allah, Jesus or anybody. All you need is yourself. Do you have all of yourself in your hands or not? That's a big question mark.
But the dangerous cocktail happens when politics enters this entire sphere as well. Then everything gets politicized or gets tainted with the brush of politics, including yoga, including something as individual as, say, chanting Jai Shri Ram. See what's happening in West Bengal, for example. It's become almost like a political weapon where Jai Shri Ram is being used by one party against another and vice versa.
See, election time politics, what happens, what people say and do, you must give a certain amount of margin. Well, you were covering in Bengal, so you know, you must leave a certain margin. The same people are not day in and… See, there was a time, there are people, my grandmother, if she stands, she'll say Shiva, Shiva, okay? Not for anybody. If she sits down, she'll say Shiva, if her knees hurt, she will say Shiva, if she's cold, she'll say Shiva. Well, modern people say some other words which sound similar, you know. So…
I don't think the two are the same.
They're connected. You want me to speak about it?
I think let's leave that out. But you're right, I mean, when…
So what individual people say for their own comfort and well-being, everybody has the right to say what they want to say. But now, these things have happened because somebody has angst that their Ram temple is still not built, so for them, it is a slogan to get the people moving. Somebody else wants to speak against it. I don't want to get into that aspect of political life because I'm not going to stand for election or nor am I going to chant anything on the street. If I want to say something, I'll say within myself, for myself, not for somebody else. I think we should learn to… in a culture like India, where there's so many colorful aspects, we should learn to enjoy all the chants, then there'll be no problem. Instead of reacting, if somebody said Jai Shri Ram, if you also said Jai Shri Ram, somebody said Allahu Akbar, you also say same thing, it's over. It's just over. Then it'll become something personal within themselves, whatever they wish they can do. But now it is… some angst is there because certain things have not been done, and there is also a deep sense of angst that things have been wronged against us, so they're trying to correct it in their own… When you try to correct things on the street, this is how it happens. There's no other way. Correction should happen in a very, in a evolved cultural way. But when you try to make corrections on the street, when the masses try to correct things, this is how it happens.
But which is why I want to then ask you, isn't it worrying for you, Sadhguru, when the masses start doing this on the streets, there will also be a pushback and then our composite culture will get affected. For example, we had one MP, when these chants were being given in the Lok Sabha, he said, I'm not going to say Vande Mataram because it's against Islam. This is his pushback, and then we'll see this pushback on the streets.
See, when you get elected as a member of the parliament, we have elected you as an Indian citizen, not because you're a Hindu or a Muslim or whatever. You being a Hindu, Muslim, whatever else is your personal choice, you can keep that wherever you want. But we elected you, the only qualification for you to stand for election is that you're a citizen of this nation, and you must maintain that. Whatever is required of you as a citizen of this nation and as a representative, whatever is required, then one day you will say, like a lot of people are saying, we won't stand up for the flag. Then somebody says something else, tukde, all these things have happened, we've spoken enough about it. I'm not trying to bring up the same things, but what I'm saying is, there are certain rights and responsibilities of being a citizen. We want the rights, we don't want the responsibilities, it's not going to work at all. And especially when you become a representative of a large number of people of a certain constituency, then you have more responsibilities than rights. This must be understood by everybody, irrespective of who they are.
And speaking of responsibilities, everyone who sits in parliament has responsibility towards their citizens. When we're talking about Yoga Day, elevating our quality of living, are we as citizens being provided with the very basics? I'm taking a very quick break, but on the other side, we'll ask that to Sadhguru. Back in a few minutes.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying with us here on this special broadcast with Sadhguru. Sadhguru, with yoga, we are trying to look at a way of living where our quality of life becomes better. Is that even possible when in one part of our country there are people, little children, who are still dying? Does it not show that on one half of our country we are India, on the other half we are a Bharat that is struggling to stay alive?
So as I said earlier, there are many problems in this country. The only choice we have is, whether it's in this country or in the world, the only choice that any individual or organizations or groups of people have is, are you a part of the problem or are you a part of the solution? Now, yes, unfortunately children are dying, rapes are happening, murders are happening, on the borders soldiers are dying, terror attacks are happening, various things are happening. But the most important thing for every citizen is, whatever you are doing in your life, you do it in the best possible way, because that's all you can do. And that's all you must do if you're concerned about the nation. Whatever is the job that you are doing, you do it in the best possible way, in the highest possible way. That's all you can do. If you sit and cry about children who are dying elsewhere, more will die here now. Yes, those problems should be solved. I'm not saying this with apathy, but I'm saying just emotionally reacting to those things is not the answer. The solutions will come because all of us strive. Solutions will not come if all of us sit and cry.
But we are doing our bit as citizens, we are paying our taxes, but then we also look at the government and hope that all of our taxes, our two bits, are being used to ensure that every person in my country is living a certain quality of life, or at least stays alive.
You came flying, right, to Andaman? So did I. But if you had to come here 50 years ago, either you had to take a boat or swim. Today we flew in here within 2 hours or 3 hours. Like this, if you look at the nation, how the nation was left 70 years ago and how it is today, well, we can always say we could have done better. Definitely we could have done better. In my opinion, we could have done better. But we have not done badly for a 70-year-old country where average life expectancy was 28 years, we have raised it to 72 years now, which is not a small achievement, it's a tremendous thing. But our problems also have multiplied at a different level. Our problems have taken to various levels of complexities because many things were left unsolved. The number of children dying per 1,000 children born has come down dramatically from where? When I started working for this, I started a movement called Food for All when I was a student. At that time, the IMR rate was 114. Today it's 36, I think. Why still 36 children are dying? We can always ask the question. But we must see that we've brought it down from 112 to just 36. So these are the concerns that we need to address right now. Nourishment, health, education for the people. If you want to address these things, there's only one solution. All of us may think, you may have ideas, I may have ideas, everybody has their ideas. But fundamentally, without increasing the size of the economy, there is really no solution. That is what I think we are striving for, somehow increase the size of the economy so that everybody could be served by this. If you don't do that, there is no way out. Right now the government is talking about it, by 2025 we want to make this into a 5 trillion economy. Well, 5 trillion economy is not just a number. People will immediately talk, oh, rich people are becoming rich, poor are becoming poor. All these are realities in every country. But we need to understand, if the size of the economy becomes larger, if the pie is larger, everybody gets to eat something, 100%. Will everybody get the same amount? No, because we did not choose communist way of life. We tried socialism because we did not have courage for communism. We tried socialism and we failed because it's a half-hearted attempt. Now we decided market economy. I am not saying this is better than that or that is better than this. All I am saying is, if you choose to do something, you go all out and do it. Otherwise it's not going to work. Now you've chosen to be a journalist, halfway if you think you want to become a doctor because children are dying, I don't know what kind of doctor you will make. I'm not saying you're not capable, but I'm saying halfway down if you try to do something else, will it work? Now we've decided market economy, we need to go all out and increase the size of the economy. Now people will say, oh, he is rich-oriented, he is corporation-oriented.
Crony capitalist.
Fine, it's because people have nothing to do in their life. They're making their life, they're making a living just commenting about other people. But essentially, do you have a solution or do you have just a commentary? If you want a solution, you need to increase the size of the economy somehow. This is the government's business. That's why people have given the mandate with that hope that they will do it.
Speaking of problems, if we have children dying on the one hand, on the other you have something as basic as water. Imagine a city like Chennai, among others, several others, but Chennai it is most acute. There's no water in taps.
See, how come a whole lot of people in this country think about water only in summer?
Because that's when you have a dry spell.
That is the whole problem. That is the whole problem. Right now, if you want solutions, you must look at solutions when everything is well, not when things are in distress. At that time, if you look for a solution, you look for desperate solutions. And the solutions that you look for may be an ecological disaster, for all you know. So it's very important we aim for long-term solutions. At the same time, how to serve distressed areas in the country for immediate solution, we have to look at it. I think this effort of Jal Shakti or consolidating all aspects of water issues in the country is a good idea. When it comes to execution, let's see how it happens. I think everybody who has any idea must support. I'm seeing which way I'm trying to write a water kind of policy, how we could do it, what is the short-term solution, what is the long-term solution. Like this, I'm writing down so that we can contribute in whichever way we can. Whoever knows better, they can do it. Everybody should do whatever they know best, and in our own localities and area, what we know best we must do. But what people can do as individuals is usually short-term solutions. Long-term solutions need a more strategized approach, which is what Rally for Rivers is about, the policy document that we gave. Well, they took action in terms of sending it to all the 28 states as an official recommendation, which was a very big step. About 4 states are very proactive about it. We have signed MOUs with totally 6 states. Other states are going slow on it for whatever reasons, they have their elections, they have their other concerns and whatever. But fundamentally, we think water when there is no water. No, we should think water when there is water, how to protect it, how to preserve it, how to make sure it's there for us all the time. This must come into us as a consciousness, because this itself is a body of water, so over 70% is water. And how come you don't think about it? Only when there is no water you talk about it.
So we've called this upon ourselves in a way.
Definitely, it's our own making. Essentially, water is not the problem, soil is the problem. If soil is not organically rich, it cannot preserve water, it's as simple as that. Why there is no water in a desert? Because there is no organic content, it's sand. Why there is in the forest, if wherever you dig there is water? Because it's organically rich soil. So what we need to focus on is the richness of India's soil. This is one of the richest soils you can find on the planet. For whatever reasons, some of the science papers that have been published says, nobody has a real explanation as to why, but they say in terms of the number of species of organisms found in India's soil is the highest in the world for whatever reason. I am not a scientist, I am just saying what is written in certain magazines and certain papers. So when we have had such a rich soil that for over 12,000 years we've been doing agriculture in this land, but now our soil has become weak. Now out of 160 million hectares of arable land, they're saying 104 million hectares is distressed soil. They're saying another 25 to 40 years you will not be able to grow anything in 60% of India's land. When all these facts are staring at you, if you don't do anything, and then you wonder why there is no water.
But then this is the flip side also of the 5 trillion economy. To get
That
a
is the
5
whole-
trillion economy,
Yes.
we'll need to develop.
No, no,
Develop, there'll be construction, forests will be cut down.
That is the whole thing. The economy and ecology need not go against each other, they can go with each other. If you have the needed money, there are so many ecologically sensitive things you can do. If you're running a desperate economy, then you won't take care of ecological concerns. But if you're running a rich economy, you can take care of ecological concerns. There are enough laws and there are enough statutes to say what should be done, what should not be done. In enforcement, there is a lot of leakage simply because it's a desperate economy. In a garage, somebody starts a factory, you can't tell that guy how to implement all the ecological concerns. So, these things are changing rapidly in the country, maybe not fast enough for my satisfaction or your satisfaction, but it is changing, definitely. It is far more enforceable than ever before, but still there are variety of deviations from the laws and people doing their own things. There is corruption, there is ways of deviating with official connivance, there are many things. All these problems you can't solve overnight, but the important thing is ecology and economy should go hand in hand, it's very important.
That's a long-term solution, but since we are speaking about Chennai, a basic demand or right that they had was to get, say, water from the Kaveri. They still haven't had it. And today we are in a situation where you've got people and states and governments fighting for water. How do you deal with that?
Just now they've served water for you and me, the wonderful officers here. They brought 2 glasses. If they had brought only 1 glass, you and me will fight for it, if both of us are really thirsty, yes or no? When there's 1 glass of water, fight is inevitable, because I also want it, you also want it. Why are we not seeing why the Kaveri has depleted? Why Kaveri has gone down 46% in the last 50 years? In the last 50 years, we have removed 87% of the tree cover in the Kaveri basin. Kaveri basin is 83,000 square kilometers. We have removed 87% of tree cover. We must understand India's rivers are forest-fed rivers. Well, you may have mythologies where from heavens a big river came and landed on Shiva's head and it's flowing for you. Why these stories have come is because this is glacial water. Ganga is to a large extent it used to be glacial water, so they spoke in those terms, from the mountains it's coming down in Shiva's hair. But we must understand only 4% of India's river water is glacial, rest is forest-fed. What this means is, we have precipitation approximately between 45 to 50 days in a year. These 50 days of rain, it all comes in the form of rain, not in the form of snow. It all comes in the form of rain. So this 96% of the water that you have in rivers is rainwater held in the soil because of the richness of the soil. Soil is rich only if it's under shade and there is constant addition of organic matter in the form of leaves and animal waste. Trees are gone long time ago, animals are all traveling, they have gotten visas to travel to other countries. How will you enrich the land? How will you… is there a plan, I'm asking?
Do you think there is a plan?
I have a plan.
But you have been engaging with the government, do they have a plan?
Well, that is why we gave the Rally for Rivers document, which is 760 pages of detailed plan, and they made it official to all the states, but rivers are concurrent subject. The central government can't decide by itself, do this or do that, they can only recommend. They have recommended, few states have taken it up, others have not. So, we are campaigning with all the states, they need to take it up. In some states, they're very proactive, willing, because they understand the problem. In some states, there's no grasp of the problem. It is just like this, when summer there's no water, there's knee-jerk thing. Once the monsoon rains come, they forget about it and everything is fine. So, long-term strategic thinking is missing. We also have to, in a way, I don't know, I'm not trying to blame democracy, but it is a consequence of our democratic process, because people cannot think beyond 3 to 4 years' time. Ecological issues cannot be thought in 3 to 4 years stretch. You need to think at least 25 to 50 or 100 years, only then you can have ecological solutions. Everybody thinks 2 years, 3 years, their term of the government, it doesn't work. So for this also it's important, the kind of mandate that people have given with the hope this government will find solutions is important, because now once you give this kind of a mandate, you're supposed to think long term.
What do you make of this mandate, Sadhguru? You know, you've been a very politically outspoken person. There were several things that happened in the past 5 years, and you know, it was our now Prime Minister was even called divider-in-chief before the elections.
The problem is, we are giving too much value to a few rags which are produced in other countries. Yes, these are prejudiced rags. Why are we giving so much value?
But that's not the only commentary that has come.
That is fine, but I am saying we have chosen democracy as a way of to run this country. When people of this nation say, we trust this person, well, you and me personally, what I may feel, what you may feel, it's fine. But a large majority of the people have given a clear mandate, because I think this time the election was not about a party, largely about a person. If people feel that way, who I may vote for, what you may vote for is our personal choices. Neither you have to say who you voted for, nor I have to say who I voted for, that's why we've been given secret ballot. But it is very clear the people of India have voted for a person because they trust that he can do something. Does he have a magic wand and is going to transform India tomorrow morning? No. All I see is, within the first few days of the election results or even before the election result, they are working on plans to implement, which is a good sign. They're not partying, they're working, which I think is a good sign. Do they have solutions for everything? No, because the problems are multiple. Are they working towards solution? I think so, definitely. At least they're making all the right sounds right now. Has action happened on the ground? Not yet. Parliament has just met for 1 day or 2 days. I think this time there is a reason why they must perform, because the trust that has been invested in them by the people of India is enormous. They can't back out on that. They cannot give excuses. This didn't happen because of that and this, because opposition walked out, this happened, that happened, no excuses. If you do it, it's you, if you don't do it, it's you. This is a good stage for any nation, because those who are in positions of responsibility and power, they must be clearly responsible. So that is what Indian people have done, and we must wait and support and see how it works. If they're doing something wrong, we will talk about it. If they're doing something right, we will applaud. This is how a democracy should proceed. Right now, a whole lot of people who have gotten sick in their head are just all the time criticizing, some people are all the time clapping, no matter what. This is not the way forward.
Interesting you should mention that, because doesn't that also show that our country is now deeply polarized? Like you said, some people are always criticizing, some people are always clapping, and there is no middle ground anymore.
See, this is not just in our country. If you look at United States, the same thing is happening. I would say in our country it's a little better than the divide that is there, because by birth you become a Democrat or a Republican in United States, at least not by birth. You become a BJP or Congress or whatever other party somewhere when you are a student, at least maybe.
Or as things seem, with Mr. Modi or against Mr. Modi.
I don't think so. Is that so? People who did not vote for him last time have voted for him this time, obviously. Otherwise these numbers wouldn't have happened. So next time they will wait… See, it is a very wise thing that people of India have watched. There may not be as much achievement as you think there should be, but I think they see the integrity of intention. There is intention and there is hard work. I think that is why they've given him one more term, not necessarily because everything has been done. People see the integrity of intention, and I think that's very important.
And with that also comes the great weight of huge responsibility.
I think that is very well understood looking at the speed at which they're trying to address issues. But we must understand, most people think our problems are simply on the surface. No, our problems are very deep, very complex. There is nobody here with a magic wand who will make all these problems go away tomorrow morning, there is no such thing. Incremental solutions will happen, and all of us should be able to understand and appreciate those incremental solutions. In case they're working to create more problems, then of course we must show them the way.
Okay, on that hopeful note, thank you very much,
Thank
Sadhguru,
you.
for having joined us. Pleasure as
This is
always.
yoga day, you must start one little bit of yoga at least, all
I
right?
will, promise. Until next yoga day, promise.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.